Let me tell you something real. A lot of women think a man pulling back, getting quiet, or acting a little distant means he lost interest. But that ain't always the case. Sometimes a man steps back, not because he's leaving, but because he's feeling something he's not used to feeling. Love changes a man. It shakes him up. And some brothers don't know how to handle that at first. See, when a man starts falling deeper in love, he doesn't always announce it. He doesn't walk in the room holding a sign saying, "I love you more today than I did yesterday." No, sometimes he gets quiet because he's thinking, he's planning. He's trying to get himself together so he can be the kind of man you actually deserve. A man in love starts checking himself. How do I provide? How do I protect? How do I make her proud? That pressure, we put it on ourselves, not you ourselves. And that pressure can make a man go silent for a moment. But listen to me, silence doesn't always mean absence. A man who's falling deeper might act a little different, but he still shows up, he still cares, he still chooses you. When a man really loves you, he ain't going nowhere. He might step into his cave for a second, but he's coming right back out stronger, clearer, more committed. A lot of people misunderstand how a man behaves when his feelings start to deepen. They think if he gets quiet, if he takes a little more time to respond, or if he suddenly seems lost in his own thoughts, that means he's losing interest. But the truth is, some men don't know how to express love the same way they express everything else in their life. When a man starts falling deeper in love, it doesn't always look loud, obvious, or romantic. Sometimes it looks like silence, like reflection, like a man trying to gather himself because he realizes what he feels is real. When real feelings hit a man, it shifts something inside him. He starts thinking about responsibility. He starts thinking about the future, about where this relationship can go, about whether he's ready to step up and be everything you need. For a lot of men, love brings pressure, not bad pressure, but the kind that makes him want to rise to a higher standard. And while he's figuring that out, he might get quieter. He might back up a little, not because he's drifting away, but because he's trying not to mess things up. A man who cares deeply doesn't want to disappoint you. He doesn't want to fail you. He wants to come correct. Men don't always talk about this. They don't sit you down and say, "Hey, I'm quiet because I'm learning how to love you better." Instead, they go into what I call their thinking cave. They start analyzing their life. A man in love will ask himself, how do I provide for her? How do I protect her? How do I give her stability? How do I build something real with her? He feels all of that long before he says it. And sometimes those feelings overwhelm him. Women express love through affection, through communication, through emotional connection. But men often express love through action, through presence, through commitment. A woman falling in love becomes more expressive. A man falling in love often becomes more aware, more careful, more intentional, and that shift can look like distance, even though it's actually growth. If a man is really falling for you, you'll notice the signs in what he does, not just in what he says. He might not talk as much, but he listens more. He pays attention to details he never cared about before. He starts considering you in his decisions. He becomes selective about what he allows around him because he wants to protect the space he's building with you. He might not tell you every thought, but his consistency, his respect, and his effort all start increasing. So when you see him pull back for a moment, don't immediately assume he's losing interest. Ask yourself instead, has he stopped showing up? Has he stopped caring? Has he stopped choosing you? A man who's falling deeper won't disappear. He won't leave you guessing for long. He might move into a quieter phase, but he still makes sure you know you matter. He still checks on you. He still makes time. He still does the things that show he's committed, even if he's not talking about it all the time. Sometimes a man steps back not because he's done, but because he's preparing. He's adjusting emotionally. He's figuring out how to love you in a way that's stable and real. And the deeper he falls, the more he wants to make sure he doesn't lose you. That fear of messing up can make him act unfamiliar, but it comes from a place of genuine care. So don't mistake his reflection for rejection. Don't confuse his silence for disinterest. Don't assume the worst just because his behavior shifts. If his intentions are real, that shift isn't pulling away, it's pulling deeper. Sometimes a man becomes quiet because he's falling harder, and he's trying to grow into the man he knows he needs to be for the woman he's starting to love more than he expected. When a man starts falling deeper in love, it doesn't always look like flowers. good morning text, or romantic gestures right away. Sometimes it looks like a pause, a deep breath, a man sitting alone in his room trying to understand why he feels something he hasn't felt in a long time or maybe ever. Women often confuse this moment for disinterest. They think he's ignoring them, pulling away, or losing passion. But a man's silence is not always a sign that he's done. Sometimes it's the clearest sign that he's beginning to take you seriously. Men love differently. A woman can fall in love and immediately start imagining the connection, the future, the emotional closeness. But a man, when he feels something real, he starts thinking about responsibility and stability. He asks himself if he's ready, if he can maintain what he's started, if he can keep his promises. Love makes a man examine himself in a way nothing else does. And that examination can make him retreat for a moment, not to leave, but to prepare. When a man begins caring more deeply, he starts transitioning from I like her to I need to step up for her. And that shift brings weight. He begins looking at his job differently, his habits differently, even his social circle differently. He becomes more protective of his time, more careful with his decisions, and more intentional with his actions. That seriousness can look like distance because it shows up quietly. But quietness can be a sign of maturity, not avoidance. A man who's falling deeper will start to question himself silently. He'll wonder whether he's giving enough, whether he's showing enough, whether you see the effort he's trying to put in. Men aren't always comfortable being vulnerable with words. They don't always know how to say, give me a moment, I'm trying to love you right. Instead, they go inward. They think, they plan, they adjust. Just because he isn't talking doesn't mean he isn't feeling. Some men feel the most when they speak the least. You may see fewer messages for a day or two, but you'll see other signs. He stays consistent. He checks on you. He keeps his promises. He wants to know you're okay. He doesn't disappear. He just becomes thoughtful. When a man is falling deeper, he also becomes more aware of how much you matter. He may hesitate for a moment because suddenly the stakes are higher. Losing you becomes a risk he doesn't want to take. That fear of messing up, fear of not being good enough, fear of failing you can make him act unsure or quiet. But that uncertainty is the process of him becoming better. Love pushes him to grow, and growth isn't always smooth or loud. Women sometimes misread this growth process as rejection, but if you look closely, you'll see that nothing important has changed. He still shows care. He still makes time. He still prioritizes you. He still thinks about you during the day. His behavior shifts on the surface, but at the core, he's becoming more invested. When a man is losing interest, his effort fades. His presence becomes inconsistent. His energy disappears. But when a man is falling deeper, his effort doesn't stop. It only changes form. It becomes more intentional, more serious, more future-focused. His silence isn't the end. It's the transition point where feelings turn into commitment. Sometimes the quietest moments are the moments when his heart is speaking the loudest. He's not ignoring you. He's trying to understand how to love you without losing himself, without disappointing you, and without making promises he can't keep. He's falling deeper, and he's trying to make sure he does it right. When a man begins falling deeper in love, it often doesn't look like what most people expect. You might notice him pulling back a little, spending time alone, or seeming distant. And your first thought might be, he's losing interest. But that assumption couldn't be further from the truth. Men express love differently than women. And when real feelings hit, it can make a man behave in ways that seem confusing. He might go quiet, not because he doesn't care, but because he's processing emotion. He's not used to having and trying to figure out how to handle them responsibly. Falling in love triggers self-reflection. A man begins asking himself questions he never asked before. Am I enough for her? Can I be the kind of man she deserves? Am I ready to step up and protect her heart? Those questions weigh heavily on him because he takes love seriously. He knows that the woman he's beginning to care for is important. And that importance creates a pressure that can make him appear distant, even when his heart is fully engaged. Men often retreat not to leave, but to prepare themselves to give the kind of love that is consistent, meaningful, and lasting. A man in love becomes more observant. He starts noticing the little things about you, the way you laugh, the way you react to situations, moments when you need support, but don't ask for it. He listens more attentively and considers your happiness in ways he didn't before. These changes aren't always visible in words, but they show up in his action. He may not text as much or speak as freely, but he's still present. He's thinking, planning, and learning how to love you better. And sometimes that process looks like silence. Women often misunderstand this quiet phase. They see it as distance or indifference, but for men, it's often a sign of deepening affection. A man who is truly falling in love wants to protect what he has, ensure he doesn't make mistakes that could hurt the relationship. He's learning to balance his emotions with responsibility. And that balance can take time while he steps back to process. His feelings continue to grow stronger, even if they aren't expressed in traditional ways. During this time, a man's actions speak louder than his words. He remains consistent in the things that matter, showing up when you need him, keeping promises, making small but meaningful gestures, and prioritizing your relationship. Even if he's not talking constantly, his care is evident in what he does. He's demonstrating love through effort and reliability because he understands that love is more than just saying, I love you. It's showing it every day. Sometimes, the deeper a man falls, the more cautious he becomes. He fears losing you or making a misstep. And that fear can make him pause. That pause is not rejection, it's reflection. He's taking time to understand his feelings and to figure out how to express them in a way that strengthens the bond between you. This kind of introspection often leads to personal growth. And when he comes back from that quiet period, he's more capable of loving fully and wisely. A woman may wonder if this distance is temporary or permanent, but the difference is in the consistency of his care. If he continues to check on you, support you, and include you in his life, despite periods of quiet, that is love growing deeper. Silence doesn't diminish the heart. It sometimes amplifies it. Giving a man the space he needs to become the partner he wants to be. He's not ignoring you. He's falling, learning, and preparing to love you with greater depth than ever before. When a man starts falling deeper in love, it can feel confusing if you don't understand how men show affection. He might seem quieter, more withdrawn, or even distracted. And it's easy to assume that he's losing interest. But the truth is, men often express love differently than women. When a man is deeply in love, he doesn't always shout it from the rooftops. Instead, he reflects, he observes, and he begins to act in ways that show. He cares on a deeper level, even if those actions aren't loud or obvious. Love has a way of making a man take a step back to evaluate himself. He asks hard questions. Am I the kind of man she deserves? Am I ready to handle a real relationship? Can I protect her heart and her happiness? These questions don't come lightly. They create pressure, a weight that he carries silently. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing because he knows that. Love isn't just about feeling, it's about action, responsibility, and commitment. And sometimes that weight makes him quiet. Not because he's pulling away, but because he's trying to rise to the occasion. A man in love begins noticing details he never paid attention to before. He listens more, watches more, and thinks about your needs without you even asking. He remembers the small things that make you happy, the things that make you feel safe, and the moments when you need support. Men often show their love through these actions rather than words. While he may not text constantly or verbalize his emotions every hour, his care is demonstrated in how he thinks of you, in his decisions, how he protects your time and space, and how he invests in the relationship, quietly but consistently. Sometimes, a man stepping back is a sign that he's falling harder. He may hesitate, become thoughtful, or appear distant because he's trying to understand the depth of his feeling. Love can make a man cautious because the stakes feel higher. He doesn't want to fail you, disappoint you, or take the relationship for granted. That caution can feel like distance, but it's really an internal process of growth. He's learning how to love you in a way that is steady, reliable, and long-lasting. Even during moments of quiet, his actions continue to speak. He shows up when it matters. He makes an effort to make your life easier, and he chooses you consistently. His silence doesn't mean absence. It's reflection, preparation, and intentionality. He's working on being the partner you deserve while navigating the complexities of his own emotions. This is a man who understands that love is not just about excitement or passion. It's about commitment, consistency, and emotional investment. Women sometimes misread this type of behavior because it doesn't fit the romanticized idea of love. They expect constant attention and verbal affirmation, but men often express devotion through deeds and presence rather than words. When a man is falling deeper, his love grows in ways that aren't always obvious on the surface, but those ways are powerful, real, and lasting. His care becomes intentional, his effort increases, and his heart becomes more committed. So, when a man seems quiet or distant, it may be the clearest sign that he is truly falling. He is not ignoring you. He is not pulling away. He is evolving, reflecting, and learning how to love you more completely. His love is becoming more thoughtful, more deliberate, and more enduring. The silence isn't emptiness. It's the sound of a heart preparing to love more deeply than ever. Before, sometimes, when a man starts falling deeper in love, it doesn't look the way you expect. You might notice him pulling back, going quiet, or acting like he needs space. And your first thought could be, he's losing interest. But that assumption is often completely wrong. Men experience love differently than women. When a man truly starts to care, his feelings can overwhelm him, and he may not know how to express them right away. Instead of rushing in with words, he may step back, reflect, and act quietly, all because he wants to do this love right. Love makes a man think in ways he never did before. He starts asking himself serious questions. Am I enough for her? Can I handle the responsibility of loving her the way she deserves? Am I ready to protect her heart and make her feel safe? Those questions weigh on him heavily. They create pressure inside him because he doesn't want to hurt you, disappoint you, or make mistakes that could damage what you have together. That pressure can make him pause, even if his heart is fully committed. He may go quiet, not because he's walking away, but because he's working on becoming the kind of man you need him to be. A man who is falling deeper begins paying attention to things he never noticed before. He starts listening more intently, noticing your moods, your gestures, the little habits that make you unique. He thinks about the things that make you happy and the moments when you need support, even if you don't ask for it. Men often show love through action rather than words. And those actions, small, thoughtful, consistent, speak volumes. He may not say, I love you every hour, but his presence, his attention, and his effort all demonstrate his growing affection. Sometimes, the deeper a man falls, the more cautious he becomes. He fears making a misstep, saying the wrong thing, or not being enough. That caution can look like distance, but it's really an expression of care. He's reflecting on himself, on the relationship, and on how to love in a way that is meaningful and lasting. He's learning to balance his emotions with responsibility, and that process can take time. His silence is not rejection, it's preparation. He wants to love you fully, wisely, and consistently. Even during his quiet moments, a man in love continues to show up. He continues to make efforts to make your life easier, to prioritize your needs, and to be present when it matters most. His love isn't loud or constant, but it's reliable, intentional, and real. A man who is falling deeper doesn't disappear from your life. He just moves inward to process, reflect, and grow. The actions he takes, the ways he chooses you, and the care he gives are all proof of his deepening feelings. Women sometimes misread this behavior because it doesn't fit their expectations of love. They want constant verbal affirmation and attention. But men often demonstrate their devotion through consistency, thoughtfulness, and responsibility. When a man is falling deeper, his love manifests in ways that are subtle but powerful. He becomes more intentional with his time, more protective of your connection, and more invested in the future of the relationship. So, when he seems distant or quiet, understand that it may be the clearest sign that he is truly falling. He's not ignoring you. He's not stepping away. He's reflecting, growing, and learning how to love you more deeply than he ever has. His silence is not emptiness. It's the sound of a heart preparing to give love with depth, wisdom, and commitment. He's falling, and every quiet moment is proof that his feelings are only growing stronger. When a man begins falling deeper in love, it can be one of the most misunderstood moments in a relationship. Women often see him pulling back, becoming quieter, or taking more time to respond, and they assume he's losing interest. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Men don't always show love in ways that are obvious or verbal. Sometimes the more a man loves, the more he retreats into himself, not to distance himself from you, but to process the depth of his feelings and figure out how to express them properly. Love has a way of making a man stop, think, and reevaluate himself, his life, and how he wants to show up for you. A man in love starts asking himself serious questions he never considered before. Am I good enough for her? Can I truly protect her heart and make her feel safe? Am I ready to be the kind of man she deserves? These questions create pressure that he carries silently. Men feel the weight of responsibility when they love deeply, and that weight can make them pause, reflect, and even appear distant. But that pause isn't a sign of disinterest, it's a sign of care. He's taking the time to ensure that he can give you the love you deserve without faltering, without hurting you, and without taking you for granted. As his feelings deepen, he begins to notice details he never paid attention to before. He observes the way you move, how you react in different situations, what makes you smile, and even the little things that weigh on your heart. He listens more carefully and thinks about how his actions impact you. Men often express love through action rather than words, and these subtle actions, small gestures, consistent effort, thoughtful consideration speak volumes. While he might not constantly say, I love you, his presence, his attentiveness, and his effort all reflect the depth of his emotions. Falling deeper in love can also make a man more cautious. He fears saying the wrong thing, making a mistake, or letting you down. That caution can appear as distance, but it's actually a sign of seriousness. He's learning how to balance his feelings with responsibility, how to protect the relationship, and how to ensure that his love is meaningful and lasting. That quiet moment is a reflection period, a time when he's preparing to step into a role that honors both you and the relationship. Even in his quietness, he remains present. He shows up in ways that matter through reliability, through thoughtfulness, through prioritizing your needs. His actions are proof that his heart is committed. A man who is falling deeper doesn't vanish from your life. He may simply be recalibrating, thinking about how to love you better, how to strengthen your bond, and how to be the partner you deserve. His love is evolving, and each pause is a part of that evolution. Women sometimes misread this quietness because it doesn't match the romanticized notion of constant attention or verbal affirmation. But a man's love is often demonstrated through consistency, protection, and intentional effort. When he's falling harder, his love shows up in ways that are subtle but powerful, building a foundation for something lasting. He becomes more attentive, more invested, more present in ways that truly matter. So when he seems distant or silent, don't mistake it for absence or indifference. He is not ignoring you. He is not stepping away. He is reflecting, growing, and preparing to love you at a depth he may not have known he could. That quietness is proof of his feelings, proof that his heart is falling, and proof that his love is becoming stronger, wiser, and more intentional every single day.